Imagine you're a 10-year-old boy growing up in the middle of a busy Jewish marketplace. Every morning, your mother places a small coin in your hand, but it's not for candy, toys, or pocket money. She looks you straight in the eyes and teaches. This coin is divided into 3 parts. 1 part to save, 1 part to learn, 1 part to spend. If you learn discipline with small money now, one day you'll be free with big money. That little boy is the picture of countless Jewish families. They don't raise children to waste money, nor do they force them into a life of scarcity. They teach them to manage even the smallest coin, starting young. The Jewish belief is simple. If you can't take care of pennies, you'll never hold on to treasures. Why? Because money isn't just material. It's a test of discipline. It teaches you to delay gratification, to know the difference between needs and wants. And that D, think about it. How many times have you had money in your pocket and spent it all, leaving nothing behind? How many times did you promise to save, only to let a coffee, a night out, or a flashy limited-time deal eat it up? The Jews understand. If you can't win the battle over a single coin, you'll never win the war over thousands of dollars. Here's a story. A young Jewish man named David once worked in a fabric shop. His wages were tiny, barely enough for simple meals. But instead of spending it all, he saved 10%, invested another 10% in books to learn more, and lived on the rest. People laughed at him. What's the point of saving so little? It's like a grain of sand in the desert. David never argued back. He quietly kept saving. 5 years later, his small savings became enough to open his own fabric stall. From that little stall, he built a full store. And from there, an entire business empire. He didn't get rich overnight. He got rich because he had discipline in his mindset. Discipline with money doesn't mean suffering. Jewish people still enjoy life, still spend, but they spend with awareness. They treat small money like bricks in a foundation. Miss 1 brick and the house shakes. Hold each brick steady and the whole house stands strong. That's why the very first and most important lesson is this. Small money is the foundation. Saving is discipline, not deprivation. So the question is, will you start with just 1 coin today? Try this. Save 10% of everything you earn, no matter how little. Invest 10% into learning and developing yourself. Spend the rest wisely. Then look back in a year, and you'll see how much you've changed. Success doesn't come from a giant leap. It comes from disciplined steps, repeated every single day. And once you lay down this very first brick, you'll be ready for the next lesson. Even $1 matters. Respect the small so you can hold the great. 2, there's an old Jewish proverb. He who despises small coins will never keep a fortune. It sounds simple, but hidden in it is a survival rule for success. If you don't respect the small, you'll never hold the great. Take the story of Rothschild, the legendary Jewish banker, one of the wealthiest men in history. When he was young, working as an accountant, he once saw a coworker drop a coin on the floor. The man laughed and said, "It's just a coin, not worth picking up." Rothschild bent down, picked up the coin, wiped it clean, and slipped it into his pocket. Then he said, "These small coins are what build banks. If you despise them, you'll never hold a vault of gold." People thought he was petty, but years later, when Rothschild became one of the richest men in Europe, everyone understood. Wealth doesn't begin with mountains of money. It begins with how you treat every single coin. Jewish parents teach their children from a young age. If you drop a coin, pick it up. If you have a piece of bread left, keep it. If you have a spare minute, use it to learn. Because anything small is a seed for something greater. $1 saved today can become 100 tomorrow. A single piece of knowledge today can grow into a career tomorrow. But many of us fall into the opposite trap. We ignore the small, waiting only for the big. We think, why bother saving a few bucks? It won't make me rich. Why read a few pages? What difference will it make? And yet, it's exactly these small things slipping away that leave us with nothing in the end. Picture this, a water barrel with a hole no bigger than a pin. Each day, just a little drips out. You hardly notice. But after a year, the barrel is bone dry. Money, time, opportunity, they don't usually disappear in one big blow. They leak away through the little things. There's another story. A young man once asked a wealthy Jewish merchant, "What's your secret to getting rich?" The old man smiled, pulled out a worn-out coin from his pocket, and said, "This coin taught me how to be wealthy. I used to keep it in my wallet. Whenever I felt the urge to spend recklessly, I'd look at it and remind myself, if you can't hold on to one coin, don't dream of holding a million." The young man was stunned. A single coin, yet it carried a lesson bigger than any book. That's why the second mindset in this series of Jewish wisdom is this: every dollar matters. Respect the small to hold the great. If you despise the small, you lose the chance to control yourself. If you honor the small, the big will naturally flow to you. So here's your challenge today. The next time you encounter something small, a bit of loose change, a spare moment, a fragment of knowledge, what will you do? Ignore it or keep it? Your answer will decide whether you have the discipline to step through the door to real wealth. And once you've mastered respecting the small, there's an even greater lesson ahead. Never let yourself get swept away by the crowd, because sometimes the crowd chases the rabbit in front of them, while the truly wise stay focused on the road they've chosen. That brings us to mindset number 3. Stay the course. Don't chase the rabbit. Walk your path. There's a well-known fable. A hunting dog spots a white rabbit darting across the field. He sprints after it with all his strength. But suddenly, another rabbit appears from a different direction. The dog changes course. Then another rabbit pops up, and another. The dog keeps chasing, switching directions again and again. In the end, he's exhausted and catches nothing. This story is the perfect metaphor for a problem many people face: a lack of consistency. From childhood, Jewish parents teach their kids, if you want to catch a rabbit, pick one and chase it until the end. It's not just about hunting. It's a philosophy of life. In business, someone might see their friends open a coffee shop, so they jump in too. A while later, real estate is booming. They abandon coffee to chase land. Before they can even gain footing, they hear stocks are the fastest way to get rich, so they switch again. In the end, like the hunting dog, they spend their whole life running, but catch nothing. Success doesn't come from chasing every opportunity. It comes from sticking to the path you've chosen. That doesn't mean being rigid. Jews are known for their flexibility, but once they recognize their true path, they don't abandon it to chase passing rabbits. Because the rabbit symbolizes temptation, trends, and short-term glitter. The path symbolizes discipline, long-term vision, and lasting value. I remember the story of David, a Jewish cloth merchant in Poland. As a young man, he chose the textile trade, a field that seemed ordinary. Many of his friends abandoned it to chase gold, coal, or whatever industry was booming at the time. Some struck it rich briefly, but lost everything when the market turned. David didn't. He stayed committed to textiles. Step by step, he expanded, built expertise, and earned trust. His whole life, he followed one path. And it was this consistency that turned the David family into one of the most respected and prosperous textile dynasties, lasting for generations. On the other hand, those who lack consistency often lose more than they gain. They scatter their energy across too many directions. Their money, time, and focus get fractured. Worse, they lose trust from themselves and from others. A partner won't invest in you if you change course like the wind. A teammate won't walk with you if you don't stay the course. That's why the third Jewish success mindset is this: consistency. Don't chase the rabbit, walk the path. The Jewish belief is simple. One steady trade is worth more than 10 abandoned ones. One long road is worth more than 10 half-taken shortcuts. One deep conviction is worth more than 10 fleeting excitements. So here's your challenge today. Look at your own journey. Are you truly walking one path, or are you just chasing rabbits? And once you've mastered consistency, there's another Jewish art you'll need: the ability to turn what seems worthless into value. They call it the mindset of turning trash into gold, taking what others throw away and transforming it into opportunity. That's the fourth Jewish mindset. Turn trash into gold. Create value from what others waste. There's an old Jewish parable. A great fire once swept through a village, burning everything to ashes. The villagers wept over their homes and possessions. But one old Jewish man quietly began collecting bent pieces of iron and charred bits of bronze. People mocked him. Why pick through ashes? That's just trash. Years later, the trash he had gathered, melted down, and reforged into tools, became the foundation of a small blacksmith shop. From that shop grew a thriving business, which not only made his family wealthy, but also revived the entire village with jobs and trade. The lesson? The Jewish mindset sees gold where others only see garbage. In business, this means opportunity often hides in what seems worthless. Wealth isn't about the assets you start with. It's about your vision and your ability to transform them. A simple example: a Jewish merchant once bought up scraps of fabric discarded by factories. Others saw them as useless. He turned them into quilts, tablecloths, and household goods, selling them for profit. That trash fed his family and became the seed capital for a textile company. While most people chase pure gold, big, obvious opportunities, Jews understand that real treasure often hides beneath dust and ashes. That's why they waste nothing. An old book might hold a life lesson. A bitter failure might hold priceless experience. A fleeting relationship might open a door years later. Take the Rothschild family, the legendary Jewish banking dynasty. During wartime, many wealthy families panicked, selling off assets, bonds, and even bad debts for next to nothing. Others saw those papers as worthless burdens. The Rothschilds bought them up. A few years later, when peace returned, those scraps of paper turned into massive profits, cementing their rise as Europe's most powerful financial family. That's turning trash into gold at the highest level. So what's the takeaway for us today? A failure today may be the seed of tomorrow's success. A small, overlooked opportunity could be the launch pad for something great. Even scattered, minor resources, if gathered and put to use, can create an empire. The Jewish approach is never to judge things by surface value. They ask, what else can this be used for? What hidden value does it hold? That's why the fourth success principle in this series is: turn trash into gold. Reimagine value where others see none. And once you master seeing gold in the ashes, there's another secret to learn. Great destiny isn't built by one giant leap. It's built by the small choices you make every single day. That brings us to principle number 5. Daily small choices create a great destiny. There's a story about a Jewish family in Hungary. 3 generations ago, they were nothing more than fabric merchants at the local market. Every day, the grandfather would set aside just a few coins to buy a book, to read and teach his children. Every day, the father would carefully record every single expense and income, even just a few pennies earned from a scrap of cloth sold. Every day, the young son, instead of running off to play, would sit quietly and listen to his father's business stories, learning how to watch customers, how to negotiate, how to be smart in trade. Those small choices, reading one page, writing down one number, listening to one story, seemed insignificant at first, but added up over the years. They became a foundation of knowledge, discipline, and a sharper vision for business. And so, in just a few generations, that humble fabric-selling family grew into owners of a major textile company, expanding across European markets. The Jewish belief is clear: destiny isn't a lottery. It's the result of the small choices you make every single day. Most people think destiny is shaped by one big break, a billion-dollar deal, a powerful connection, or a groundbreaking invention. But in truth, those golden moments only happen because of the thousands of tiny decisions made before. It's just like an oak tree. It doesn't grow overnight. It rises from every drop of water, every ray of sunlight, every fallen leaf enriching the soil. But here's what many people miss. They skip saving $1, thinking it's too little. They skip reading a page, thinking it won't matter. They skip building a habit because results don't show right away. And then they wonder why their life hasn't gone anywhere. I once heard about a Jewish young man named Aaron. He wasn't wealthy, just the son of a blacksmith. But every day he told himself, today I'll learn one new English word. Just one word. After 10 years, he was fluent not only in English, but also in German and French. That language skill turned him into a cross-border merchant, more successful than anyone in his village. One word a day changed his entire life. That's the power of small but consistent choices. Jewish parents don't teach their children to achieve something great immediately. They teach them to plant seeds every day. One page of a book, $1 saved, one wise question, one kind action. When added together, these small seeds create an entire destiny. And that's why mindset number 5 in the top 10 Jewish principles is small daily choices add up to a big destiny. But the Jewish people also understand something else. Even when you make the right choices, mistakes will still happen. And when they do, don't just patch up the surface. You have to fix the root. Rebuild from the foundation if you want to stand strong and go far. That's mindset number 6. Fix mistakes at the root, not just on the surface. There's a famous Jewish parable. A man had a leaky roof. Every time it rained, he simply put out a bucket to catch the water and mop the floor afterward. His neighbor asked, "Why don't you fix the roof?" He replied, "It's fine. The rain will stop soon." But when the next rainy season came, the leak spread. The walls grew moldy, the floors cracked, and eventually the whole house collapsed. The Jewish people tell this story to remind their children. Mistakes, if only patched on the surface without fixing the root, will keep spreading until they destroy everything. The same principle applies in business. A Jewish merchant once discovered that one of his employees was falsifying the books. He didn't just scold or fine him. Instead, he reviewed the entire management system, control processes, delegation of responsibility, and oversight. He understood that if he only blamed the person but never changed the structure, the mistake would happen again. As the Jewish saying goes, if the roots are rotten, the leaves will wither. Yet many people choose the opposite approach. When their business loses money, they patch it up by borrowing more. When their family has conflict, they patch it with empty promises instead of honest conversation. When they fail personally, they blame circumstances instead of digging into the root cause, their habits and mindset. On the outside, it looks stable, but inside, it's already rotting. And one day, the collapse will come, and it will be far more painful. I remember the story of a Levi family. In his youth, Mr. Levi opened a grain shop. Once, he lost a large shipment due to careless warehouse management. Many advised him to just patch it up by hiring another guard. But Levi thought differently. He closed the shop for an entire month and rebuilt the system from the ground up. Inventory procedures, bookkeeping methods, even linking wages to accountability. When the shop reopened, not only did it prevent future losses, but business doubled. Levi taught his children, never patch at the surface. Fix from the root, because only strong roots allow a tree to grow tall. The lesson for us is clear. When finances are a mess, don't just chase money. Fix the way you manage. When relationships break, don't just say empty apologies. Change the way you treat people. When you fail personally, don't make excuses. Find the bad habits at the root and change them. For the Jewish people, this is a survival mindset. Fixing from the root may be painful and demanding, but it's the only way to make sure mistakes don't repeat. That's why mindset number 6 in the top 10 Jewish principles is fix mistakes at the root, not just on the surface. And after learning how to fix mistakes, the Jewish people teach an even deeper truth. Asking the right question is more important than giving a quick answer. Because the one who asks the right questions will always find the right path. That's mindset number 7. Ask better questions instead of rushing to answers, the key to finding the right direction. In a Jewish classroom, the teacher doesn't ask his students, "How many answers did you memorize today?" Instead, he asks, "What new question did you ask today?" The Jewish people believe this. Answers may solve today's problems, but the right questions open the path to the future. There's an old story about a young Jewish boy who once asked his father, "Papa, why do we sell at the market instead of opening a store like others?" The father smiled and replied, "Think about it, son. If we had just one store, we'd only serve one group of customers. But at the market, we meet many kinds of people and discover many different needs. Which one do you think is more valuable?" The boy stayed quiet for a moment, then asked again, "So, when should we open a store?" His father nodded. "When you have enough capital and loyal customers to turn the market into a store." That, my son, is a very good question. It was questions like these that shaped the boy into a successful merchant, because he learned how to seek direction, not just accept ready-made answers. This mindset is very different from what most people do. Many chase quick answers, step-by-step formulas, or overnight success hacks. But those answers are nothing more than temporary crutches. The Jewish approach is different. They don't fear uncertainty. They don't fear questions without immediate answers. They believe a wise question can guide you for a lifetime. Think about it. Edison didn't ask, "How can I make a candle brighter?" He asked, "Is there a way to create light without fire?" Steve Jobs didn't ask, "How can we make computers a little stronger?" He asked, "How can every person carry a computer in their pocket?" It was the question, not the answer, that opened entire new eras. That's why Jewish study of the Talmud is built on debate. Students challenge their teachers, friends challenge each other. The one who asks the deeper question is the one making true progress. They're not afraid of conflict or disagreement, because they know questions are the root of wisdom. The lesson for us: don't be afraid of childlike questions. Many great inventions started with simple wonder. Don't just ask to find faults, ask to open new directions. Don't cling only to ready-made answers. Accept the gaps and be patient in seeking solutions. Jewish parents teach their children, whoever asks the right question will always find the right path. That's why mindset number 7 in the top 10 Jewish principles is: ask better questions, not just better answers. The key to finding the right path. But here's another secret. Even with the right question, success still requires patience. Because true achievement doesn't come from one giant leap, but from small steps added up over time. That's mindset number 8. The power of compounding. Progress just 1% every day to create massive breakthroughs. There's a story Jewish parents often tell their children. If I give you 1 coin today, and tomorrow it doubles into 2, then 4, then 8, after 1 month you'll have over $500 million. But if I give you $1 million right now, which would you choose? Most kids say they'd take the million instantly. But the father just smiles. The power of compounding is the real treasure. $1 million can be spent away. But if you understand compounding, you'll never be poor for the rest of your life. In reality, the power of just 1% every day looks small, but it adds up into something massive. If you improve by 1% a day, after a year, you won't just be 365% better. You'll be 37 times better than when you started. On the flip side, if you let yourself slip by 1% a day, after a year, you'll be left with only 3% of your potential value. The Jewish people deeply understand this principle. They never chase get-rich-quick schemes overnight. Instead, they patiently accumulate knowledge, capital, and relationships little by little. One Jewish merchant once said, "I didn't get rich from one big deal. I got rich from 10,000 small deals, each with just a little profit. But added up, they built my entire fortune." Look at their reading habits. An ordinary Jewish person may read just 15 to 20 minutes a day. Sounds small, right? But after 10 years, that's hundreds of books, an entire treasure chest of knowledge that no one can take away. Meanwhile, so many of us chase the big leap. Want to master English in 3 months. Want to get rich in a year. Want overnight success. But the harsh truth is, real success doesn't come from sudden explosions. It comes from the silent force of compounding. Think of a drop of water falling on stone. One drop means nothing, but thousands, millions of drops over time carve through the rock itself. That's what patience plus compounding looks like. Quiet, unassuming, but unstoppable. The lesson for us: never underestimate a small habit. It could be the seed of your entire future. Don't quit just because results don't show right away. Compounding needs time to explode. Don't compare with others. If today you're just 1% better than yesterday, you're already winning. That's why mindset number 8 in the top 10 Jewish principles is the power of compounding. Grow 1% every day to create massive breakthroughs. And once you truly grasp the strength of small, consistent steps, here's the next Jewish secret. They don't just accumulate for themselves, but for their families, for generations. That's mindset number 9, the power of family legacy, building generational wealth. There's a famous Jewish saying, the truly wealthy don't count the riches in their vault. They count how many generations can still preserve their legacy. Why do so many wealthy families around the world have Jewish roots? Because they don't build wealth just for one lifetime. They build it for generations. Picture a small Jewish family in the marketplace. The grandfather sells cloth. The son opens a tailoring workshop. The grandson studies international trade and takes the brand global. 3 generations, each taking just one step forward. But added together, they turn a simple fabric stall into a textile empire. The Jewish people have a unique habit. They keep family records and teachings. These contain not only names, but also business lessons, financial principles, and moral guidance. So when each new generation grows up, they don't start from zero. They're handed the torch, and that torch helps them go further than their parents. Now imagine this. If your parents left you a house, some savings accounts, and a notebook filled with their lifetime business wisdom, wouldn't that change your life compared to someone who only inherits material assets? That's the Jewish difference. They don't just pass down money. They pass down mindset, knowledge, and habits. Take the Rothschild family, one of history's most legendary banking dynasties. It all began with a Jewish merchant in Frankfurt. He trained his 5 sons in different areas of finance and sent them across Europe: London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, Frankfurt. Together, they formed the most powerful banking network of the 19th century. What made them wealthy wasn't just their starting capital. It was family unity, the ability to divide roles, cooperate, and put the collective good above individual ego. Here's the lesson for us. A single bamboo stalk snaps easily, but a grove stands strong against the storm. Building wealth for yourself may last one lifetime. Building wealth for your family lays the foundation for 10. The greatest inheritance you can leave isn't money. It's mindset and wisdom. That's why principle number 9 in the top 10 Jewish success principles is the power of family, wealth that lasts for generations. And once you understand the power of family, there's another Jewish principle to remember. They don't just patch mistakes on the surface. They fix them at the root. That's the foundation of principle number 10, the rule of correction. True change starts at the root. There's a Jewish proverb that says, don't patch a leaky roof with duct tape. Replace the roof. The Jewish way of dealing with mistakes is very different. They don't hide them. They don't cover them up. They don't just make it look okay. Instead, they dig all the way down to the root cause. Because they believe a tiny crack in the foundation, if left unchecked, can bring down the whole building. Picture a neighborhood bakery. It's always been packed with customers, but suddenly business slows. The owner thinks, maybe it's the old sign, let's repaint it. Still no change. Then he tries lowering prices. Still no customers. Only when he finally talks to his regulars does he discover the real issue. The bread no longer tastes as good. Why? Because he switched to a cheaper flour. The problem wasn't the sign. It wasn't the price. The real problem was at the root: quality. Only when he fixed the flour did the flavor return, and with it, the customers. That's exactly how Jewish people approach both business and life. When a deal fails, they don't just blame the market. They ask, was the strategy flawed at the core? When a relationship cracks, they don't just smooth things over. They ask, has the trust itself been damaged? When an individual stumbles, they don't just point to circumstances. They ask, have I built real discipline at the foundation? There's even a story Jewish parents tell their children. A boy noticed the apples on his family's tree were small and bland. So he hung fake apples from a market to make it look better. His father laughed and said, if you want sweet fruit, take care of the roots. Don't just hang fake apples. Simple story, profound lesson. If you don't fix the root, every effort is just a facade. Here's the takeaway for us. When your business is losing money, look at the business model, not just the marketing. When your personal finances are a mess, look at your spending habits, not just loans and quick fixes. When your life feels unhappy, look at how you define value, not just your location or partner. The Jewish call this the root principle. Fix the root, and the branches will take care of themselves. And that's why principle number 10 in the top 10 Jewish success principles is the rule of correction. True change comes from the root. My friends, we've now completed the journey through all 10 Jewish success principles. Wisdom distilled from centuries of resilience, business acumen, and life experience. From valuing every small coin, to staying disciplined, to turning trash into treasure, to building enduring family wealth, and finally to correcting mistakes at the root. Every lesson points to one truth. Wealth isn't just about money. True wealth is having the right mindset to create money, keep money, and turn money into lasting value. And remember, you don't have to apply all 10 principles at once. Start with just one. Be consistent. That small 1% daily improvement will compound into a massive leap forward in the future. Because success doesn't come from luck. Success comes from small choices, repeated daily, that compound into destiny. So here's my question, and my challenge to you. Back-end index pointing right, which of these 10 principles will you choose as the first seed in your success journey? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who knows? Your words may become the spark that inspires someone else. And don't forget, if you found this journey valuable, hit like, follow, and subscribe to RICHMIND HACK. So together we can spread wisdom, create wealth, and build legacies, not just for one lifetime, but for generations. Because the truth is, the world doesn't lack opportunities. It only lacks people prepared, in mindset, to seize them. And I believe you are one of those few. This isn't the end. It's the beginning. The beginning of the story where you rewrite your own success. Thank you for listening.